Oh, we're recording. Excellent. Welcome again to another town hall. I'm just going to hand it straight over to Diana and Kata, who's going to take us through the amazing documentation that we have been building over the past 12 months, the enhancements that's gone on there. We're getting accolades for the amazing documentation, and that's all due to the incredible director of documentation here at platformOS, Diana. And Kata, this is your first full-time focus on all things platformOS this month. Kata's been working on a number of projects in the past, but now it's all about partner portal, billing, modules, a new website, consistent branding, and user experience is the key. So over to Diana and Kata, and I'm very happy to have them part of the family.
Hi everyone, I'm Diana. As you might remember, last year we showed you how we built our documentation site using the design thinking process. And because a lot has happened since, now we'd like to give you some updates on all the improvements. I will talk about our documentation, including content, design, and your contributions.
Hi everyone, I'm Kata, and I will talk about the UX improvement related topics. As the two topics are somewhat connected, we'd like to go through them first to give you the big picture, and then answer the questions if you have any.
Related to our documentation, first I'd like to show you the content we added and the topics and articles we are working on. Then I will give you a sneak peek of the new design, and in the end I'd like to thank you for your contributions and show you even more ways to get involved. So to get started, we start with content, and I'd like to give you some insight into our workflow. As you know, we work with a docs as code approach, which means that we treat our documentation content the same way as we treat our code. Documentation content goes through the same workflow stages and review process in the same tool, which is GitHub in our case. What's new, however, is that in a second phase, we extended this approach to all aspects of our documentation site, and now the whole editorial workflow and project management is also in the same tool. We keep track of content needs and content production on the issues interface and the Kanban board of our documentation repository on GitHub. All of it is public, so you can watch issues and contribute to them too. So how does this all work? When we get feedback or a topic request from any channel, for example, there is a question on Slack that you couldn't find the answer for in the docs, then we add this as a new issue to our GitHub content project. When we add the issue, we also add the label that shows the type of task. For example, is it a request for a new topic or an update needed for an existing topic? Then we set the priority by either keeping it in the list or moving it to the to-do column. We usually assign issues to ourselves based on who will work on the topic. And then when we start working on them, we move them to the in progress column. It stays in the in progress column until it is reviewed and merged. If you are watching an issue, you will get notifications of it moving through each stage, and also about the comments added to the issue. Issues that are done are closed and go to the done column and remain there until I add them to the status report on Monday, and then I move them to the archive. For content production, we have two main sources of topics. One of them is platformOS features that we want to document, and the other one is any topics or updates based on partner needs. For example, some larger groups of topics we added were the documentation for modules, including other module-related content we are working on, like the content plans for the module marketplace, new functionality on the partner portal, like billing, data import, export, or model relations. We also compiled a complete guide to Liquid, pulling and organizing information from many different sources based on our experience and including information about platform specific tags and filters. We added many topics and topic series based on your requests and feedback. For example, topics on testing and QA, sitemap creation, integrations like the Twilio integration tutorial. And based on your feedback, we did a full rewrite of the How platformOS works section. So conceptual information about the setup, workflow, code base, tools and technologies. And we are happy to see that now we get more positive feedback on these topics as well. We also regularly write in-depth articles for a technical audience and publish them on our blog. Besides the article series about different aspects of building our documentation, we also wrote about the complete Liquid guide I mentioned. And we started a series on testing and QA that is becoming very popular. Part 4 of this series, exploring performance testing, is coming soon. Now on to best practices. This is a new topic section we are planning. This is a working title, so we might call it differently. But based on your feedback, we understood that it helps you if we share our experience and you like to see more of that. Until now, we fulfill this need by showing the best practice approach in all topics and examples, except for when it's necessary to show a simple solution to explain the topic. But even then, we add information about how it should be done in a real scenario. We also show a bad example and then a recommended way of doing the same task where it helps understanding. We also add notes, tips, warnings to share our experience at various points in the topics. And now we are planning a completely new section that is filled with in-depth articles of best practices in a well-organized, easy-to-follow structure. For now, this section would be aimed at experienced developers, but if we see later that other target audiences should be addressed, we will adapt content to their needs. Another feedback we received was that most of you wanted to see more examples and full examples instead of only snippets of code. So we added a new section to many tutorials where we share the source code of the example. We also have a collection of examples that we continuously extend. Now that we've talked about content, it's time to show you some of the new design for the documentation site created by CBO. Well, our current design is very minimal and functional. This is what we created based on our UX research and by going through the design thinking process. Then we had a year of iterations and fine-tuning. So now we think that the site is ready for a new, more sophisticated design that also reflects our brand and can be a part of the family of platformOS sites, like the marketing site, partner portal, and later the community site. It's very fortunate that we had so much focus on content and structure, and that we could already have iterations based on real user feedback from many partners before creating the design. This is really a dream come true when you want to follow a content-first approach. The new design will be based on the current structure with one change and reflects our brand, industry best practices, and UX improvements. The change I mentioned is that on the current site, the left side navigation always displays all large sections, regardless of where you are on the site. On the new design, the sections can be found in the top navigation, while the left side navigation displays only the navigation items for the specific section you are in. We changed this because we found that it's rare that a user would jump around a lot between sections, and some of the sections like the How platformOS works or Get Started sections are aimed at a different target audience than tutorials or APIs. For example, if beginners start with exploring the Get Started section, they will probably not go back to it once they have moved on to tutorials. Now I would like to give you some sneak peeks into how much better the new design looks. For example, we'd like to put more focus on release notes, and besides working on a new workflow for regularly adding them, we also asked for a new way to display them. Currently, we have a bulleted list with links to release notes, which was actually great for keeping the focus on the content. But now we will move on to a nicer chronological display. Similarly, on individual release note pages, we'd like to highlight the structure of the page better and ease comprehension that way. The new design covers all elements of the page and makes them consistent. Here you can see how alert types will look or how code blocks will be formatted. We are very excited about the new design and are working on rolling it out as soon as we can. Now on to contribution. I'd like to start this section with a huge thank you to all our partners who provided feedback and contributed in any way, even if it was only asking our developers about something or pointing out a typo, because all of your feedback is taken into account and worked into the documentation to continuously improve it. And we are glad that based on your feedback, these improvements, big and small, are now reflected in our docs. So please keep sharing your feedback through any channel you're comfortable with. We collect and use your feedback from our Slack channels and the feedback block on each topic. On the feedback block, if you rate that the page wasn't helpful enough, it really helps us if you can add a couple of lines of explanation about what you would like to see improved. We have an initiative running where we collect the feedback on our onboarding docs from developers who are just starting to set up and use platformOS. The feedback we received so far has helped us update the topics to include some explanations and terminology that this target audience needed. We also collect feedback from anywhere we can hear the opinions of our partners, for example, town halls, but also from more structured sources like interviews with Kata or Clark. So far, only a few of you have contributed through GitHub, but please don't forget that the option is there. And if you spot something that you could edit or fix, please click the contribute to this page link on the bottom of the topic, edit it on GitHub and send us a pull request. Once we merge your changes, you will be displayed on the topic as a contributor. Another way you can contribute is by opening an issue on GitHub or finding an issue you'd like to work on. We try to help by marking issues that are easier to contribute to with the Help Wanted label. For example, we were happy to have an external contributor on an issue for conducting grammar checks. Well, this was what I prepared for today, and now over to you, Kata, and the UX improvements.
And I just want to say thank you, Diana. Honestly, it's setting us apart from so many other solutions out there where documentation is an afterthought. We're making it an absolute critical hand-in-glove part of the platform development. So thank you very much for all the work you've done. And we're excited about where it goes next. Just so you know, the design that has been provided is now in the hands of being sliced and diced into HTML. So that is happening. All yours, Kata.
Okay, thank you. So today I'd like to share a status update with you related to our UX improvements. Also, first I'd like to share our UX strategy goals and how we'd like to achieve that step by step. I also like to summarize what happened related to Partner Portal and where are we heading. And last but not least, I'd like to share how you helped to shape the user experience. And I'd also like to share how we are planning to keep you in the loop and how you can get involved into shaping our user experience further. So let's start with UX strategy. A bit about the background. So UX strategy does not describe specific features, but outlines project objectives. The goal is to have an easy to understand and easy to follow process so everyone can get involved. This should create a shared vision of the product, basically. We need to mention that UX design includes numerous details such as visual design, content messaging, and how easy it is for a user to accomplish a task. But UX strategy is the big picture. It is based on 4 tenets like business strategy, value innovation, user research, and UX design. And just as Diana mentioned before, last time here at Town Hall meeting, we talked about how we use the design thinking method to build our documentation site. This iterative design process consists of 5 steps: empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. This process provides us the possibility to have a holistic picture, and that's what I'd like to achieve with all the platformOS related sites. So we want to apply this design thinking method to all of our sites, just like we did it with the documentation site. We are planning to do it with the partner portal, the marketing site. Moreover, we can apply this strategy also for following sites like the community site. This design thinking process identifies the big vision and help us to tear it down to smaller steps, which can provide a roadmap to us, basically, for the site development. The research results after each development phase can shape, of course, the big picture, and it helps us keep the user needs and the business goals in harmony with the product. So where are we now in this process? As you can see, the documentation site is the most mature. We started with design thinking methodology there as a result of UX research. We iterated the big vision, and now it's ready to apply the brand design to it. Related to the partner portal, we focused on first specific features like billing and also module marketplace. Just to mention the big ones, of course, a lot of other features were delivered in the last half a year. We used the UX research results to iterate the information architecture and also the screen layouts during this period of time. What we are still going to do, or what we wanted to focus next, is to use this design thinking methodology to create the big vision for this site also, and set a roadmap next to it. Based on this, we'd like to apply the platformOS branding to the site, and we will collaborate with CBO on this. We're also working on the marketing site. We already did a content research on that, and I know that the brand story is also on the way. We'll also apply the brand design to the site, and besides, we will work on the design thinking process also on the marketing side. So let's speak a bit more about the partner portal. Few charts, just a few one, because I need to bring in something like this. So first, I wanted to bring in 6 charts. I did 2 measurement points. One happened half a year ago, and the other one happened just in the last month. But I realized that basically there are no differences. What screens you are using or operating things you're using is consistent.
Just a little bit of lag at the moment, Kata. Can anyone else hear me at the moment? Or maybe it's me.
I can hear you. No, there was some lag.
Okay. I think it might be that Kata is on that other operating system at the moment. Could be right. Oh, you're back. There we go.
Okay.
All right. So we got to the point where you said that you did last year and just recently in the last month, and there's virtually no difference in the stats that you picked up, and then it kind of dropped off. So if you could take it from there.
Okay. So basically, 98% of you using desktop screens for Partner Portal or checking Partner Portal. The browsers is 86% of you using Google Chrome, and the operating system is 60% of you using Mac OS, and the 36% of you is using Windows, but it's really kind of consistent in time. However, the general analytics didn't show any differences in the two data points. The site usage showed differences. So we tested the original layout with Hotjar. We also had usability sessions, and data was collected from 2 questionnaires from you. Based on the results, we updated the information architecture of the site, and we started to change the layout of the pages one by one. Also, we worked on 2 significant features, as I mentioned before, the billing functionality and the module marketplace. Let's check these topics separately. So first, how we start to work on new features. So related to new features from a UX point of view, we followed 4 steps. First, we focused on the background research so we can create a content plan. This plan includes business requirements and user needs also. As a next step, we use this content plan as a basis for the wireframes and map out the flow and the pages based on that. We used a collaboration tool, Taplin, for discussing the screens, plans, and basically we keep track of changes of the screens in this tool. As a next step, I collect feedback not just from the team, but also from partners. This method could be a design critic discussion in a collaboration tool, a questionnaire, or a usability test. So what we can collect here, we use in step 4. And we basically iterate the screens and update them and upload them into Taplin, and that's how we take them further. So besides the new features, we also worked on information architecture. We mapped out the information architecture right at the beginning when I started to work with the team. And besides testing the new features, we also received valuable results and feedbacks related to the architecture. We changed the sidebar menu structure, removed the drop-down functionality there also, added home, and have a help section pointing to the documentation site at the top right. And we also planning to do some other changes later on. So now we got to the last section, contribution. And just like Diana did, I'd also like to start this section with a huge thank you to all of our partners who provided feedback, participated or contributed to any of our user research, questionnaires, or shared anything in learning from these inputs, and that's how we can be a better product. So UX status updates, just as you receive documentation updates. It will happen on Fridays in the Inner Circle Slack channel, and the first one will be sent out tomorrow. So we include this into the, we will include this into the same status report letter you already subscribed, so that you can receive both on Mondays. In these status reports, you can see what we worked on, anything user experience related. And the goal is to strengthen our communication about UX and provide a place where you can also share your experience. So how can you contribute to a better user experience? You can share your experiences in Slack, in the Inner Circle channel, or privately, how you feel comfortable. You can participate in UX research. We'll send out invitations in these status reports. We will share with you the specific tasks, the time you need, and who is our target audience. Sometimes we would need non-technical partners, sometimes we would need experienced users or beginners, but we will share this information upfront with you. We were planning to use questionnaires, interviews, and usability tests, and some other specific methods if needed. And I'd also like to tell you how do these research types look like in practice, so you can see what we are doing, and if you'd like to participate, you can see what's behind. So we do both quantitative and qualitative research. Related to quantitative research, we invite you to fill out questionnaires. These short questionnaires including a maximum of 10 items. We like to gather these so we can see the general satisfaction with the site, product, and features. It helps us identify specific points, what we can test further with usability tests. So these questionnaires usually provides us the basic input for testing further the site. We also use Hotjar analytics. So this helps us to see the pain points. However, it didn't provide us the answer why users fail at a specific task. So it's also a great tool. However, we also take it further into the results that we take further to usability tests. Related to qualitative tests, we are using remote usability testing. It helps us see if users understand what they need to do and can complete all relevant tasks. It also identifies specific usability issues, for example, problem with language or layout, even the smallest one. In the same time, it generates ideas for how to improve platformOS. So how a usability session could look like. We do these tests remotely. We provide you a few questions and ask you to complete some test scenarios. The test scenarios are based on real-life examples. And at the end, we also ask some follow-up questions. This moderated version is approximately 40-60 minutes long. And we are also planning to do unmoderated usability tests, which is completed by test participants in their own environment without a facilitator present. It's a lot shorter. It's usually 15-20 minutes, but of course there are differences between the two because in the first one, when we have a moderator presented, we can gather more specific answers to questions. Besides these, we also like to do some structured partner interviews. But yeah, we will share more information about these in our UX status reports also. So thank you for listening to our updates related to documentation and UX enhancements. And yeah, if you have any questions related to any of the topics we spoke about, we are happy to answer or share our thoughts.
We're unmuting now, so we can all congratulate you and clap. I heard Adam also clapping in the background there. Fantastic. I even saw somebody drinking a beer in celebratory ways. Was it? I'm sure it was a beer somewhere. Champagne will be popped when I see you both in 2 weeks' time. Kata, that was wonderful as well. And I think this is for me another one of those great town halls, because it's so methodical, and actually it's educational for me as well, just to see behind the scenes what's going on. And it's not just, well, we're just going to write some documentation. There's really great thinking behind it. There's a process, there's a plan, there's a feedback loop, there's research, and it just highlights the effort that's gone in and the importance for it to be always continually improving. And you've built a streamlined machine behind the scenes to make that the case. So thank you both for a fantastic town hall. I want to ask who's got some questions, comments. I don't think anybody from the BC community, at least, has kind of experienced this sort of approach to good documentation.
Yeah, actually asking your users questions before you do things, I'm not used to that.
Not quite, says Scott. No questions, no thoughts or other comments?
I'm just generally impressed by the whole team, honestly. I mean, every part of this is coming along amazingly well, and I see the different areas, whether it's the documentation or the UX or whatever. It's very professional and orderly. There's a lot of strategy going into things, and I really love that. And I see people who really love their jobs doing a really good job.
Well said. Well said. I couldn't agree more. Every single person on the team is definitely passionate, knowledgeable, and collaborative. So it's just incredible to have been able to be part of this amazing team. And I think what Diana and Kata have brought to the team is just another layer on another level of professionalism, because the engineering team are awesome engineers. The project management side of the business are fantastic. But to have something that is really not so much bottom up, but top down, is what we were missing in the business, and they've rounded us out. It's fantastic. I can't wait to see the UX and the documentation team growing as we grow, because Diana and Kata are going to need more people in their respective business units to grow out, and I can see different parts of the business requiring the same rigor and acceleration at the same time. So we'll see that department within platformOS start to grow too. Well, if there's no more questions, no more comments. Well, thank you, ladies. It was brilliant. Breath of fresh air to know that we have got all this part of the business in professional hands. And I can't wait to get the new site up for documentation, the enhancements on the UX side of things and design on Partner Portal. Imminently, end of next week, the module billing will be live. And I know it's a few days late, but a few days between friends, we're okay. And then we've got the documentation site. Actually, as of now, today, is in the hands of coders for the front end HTML, CSS, JavaScript to be put together. So in about 6 days, we'll see that come back, and we'll then be able to get the team wiring that in. Very exciting. Well, it's very late for you in Hungary, and I can't wait to see you both personally in Warsaw very soon. And everybody else, thank you again for joining, and thank you to the community for all your participation and feedback. We're building this for you guys, so tell us what you need so we can give it to you, except when we think you're asking for the wrong things, and then we'll tell you nicely and politely that, no, Adam Cook, you can't have that, sorry. All right, well, thanks again, everybody. Have a lovely evening, afternoon, day, night. And again, thank you, Diana and Kata. Great, great stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Well done.
All right, now you can hit stop record, Cole.